Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I've been a life coach for 6 years. Life coach, relationship coach, and specializing as a breakup coach. This is what I've learned in 6 years about trying to get an ex back. So if you're a dumpee and want your ex back, fasten your seatbelt, sit back, and listen. There will be times in this deep dive podcast that I use a text-to-speech app to emphasize points and help with role-play scenarios. During these moments, I'll be playing the role of the dumpee, obviously as a man, with a female voice being my dumper. But it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, homosexual or heterosexual. The things you will hear today are all still valid between a dumper and dumpee. So if you're ready, where shall we start? Well, actually, let's start at the end. You've got your ex back. Congratulations. Now, is that surprising? Well, according to research, 44% of people have got an ex back. So if you do everything right, there is a very good chance you can achieve your goal. Every person, relationship, breakup, and aftermath create unique circumstances to increase or decrease your chance of success. But to make sure a further breakup doesn't take place, we need to make sure this new relationship with your ex is built upon stronger foundations. I would suggest your role in the stronger foundations consists of more than 50% responsibility, so let's say around 60%. Now, it could be argued that it is 50% each between you and your ex-dumper, but I would say you have an extra 10% responsibility because you have seen with your own eyes the pain of being dumped, and you have felt things that your ex can't fully understand. Therefore, I believe it's a 60-40 responsibility for you to help guide the relationship in a healthier way and being aware of red flags and warnings which could be averted. Despite me believing that as a dumpee you have more of a responsibility, we have to acknowledge that your ex still has a big chunk on their shoulders. You can only control the controllables. You can only control your side of the equation. And hence there is no way to guarantee a relationship working. But as long as you have done all that you can, well, then you can rest easy at night. Maintaining a relationship after getting your ex back requires careful attention to the reasons for the original breakup and a commitment to not repeating past mistakes individually and collectively. It's crucial to first understand and discuss the factors that led to the separation at the appropriate time, not during the first meeting, unless of course it feels natural to do so, ideally with your ex bringing it up, but certainly later down the road of reconnection, these things and topics will need to be discussed. Both partners need to take responsibility for their actions and acknowledge how they contributed to the breakup. This honest reflection helps in building a stronger foundation and avoiding similar issues in the future. Rebuilding trust is another key component. Trust can be fragile, especially after a breakup, so it's important to be transparent and consistent in your actions. Open communication plays a vital role here by being honest and clear about your feelings, thoughts, and intentions. You can help to rebuild that trust that may have been damaged, and it's important to communicate openly about your own needs and expectations to ensure that both you and your ex-dumper together now as partners are aligned in your understanding of the relationship. Addressing and resolving past issues is also essential. It's not enough to get back together without confronting the problems that caused the breakup. These issues should be discussed and resolved to prevent them from resurfacing. This requires patience and a willingness to engage in sometimes difficult conversations, but it's crucial for long-term success. Finally, both partners should be committed to personal growth and improving the relationship. Now, this means not only working on yourself, but also supporting your partner's growth. A relationship that has gone through a breakup and reconciliation can be stronger than before if both individuals are committed to making it work, learning from past mistakes, and growing forward together in the same direction. So what is the very first step to stronger foundations? Well, this is actually where we need to go back to the beginning. because the start of you building back things stronger is actually at the very moment that you were dumped. So let's now go back to the breakup. Breakups are among the most challenging emotional experiences that we can face. Whether the relationship ended amicably or in a storm of conflict, the aftermath often leaves us reeling. And the reality is that even if people say that things ended amicably, the likelihood is that one person did not really, truly want the relationship to end. The sense of loss can be overwhelming, as if a part of your identity has been torn away. You might find yourself questioning everything, your decisions, your worth, and even your future. It's normal to feel a mix of emotions: grief for the relationship, anger over what went wrong, and anxiety about what comes next. I often describe a breakup as giving you feelings similar to a combination of grief and drug withdrawal. But it's important to remember that a breakup, painful as it may be, is not just an ending, it's also a beginning. It's the start of a new chapter where you have the opportunity to rediscover yourself, reassess what you truly want in life, and to grow into a stronger, more self-aware version of yourself, becoming a version 2.0. This is your moment to reclaim your narrative and set the stage for your next adventure, whatever it may be. This might just be the beginning of you actually getting your ex back, but it's so vital that you lay those foundations to build something even stronger than before if you want to reconnect. The hard work starts now. The hard work starts at the very moment that you were dumped. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, well, I was dumped months ago. Have I done irreparable damage? Well, listen, let's look at the reality. We're human beings. We're not robots. Very few of us could go through what we could describe as a perfect breakup. It's just not realistic. Now, perhaps if you have unfortunately gone through a breakup in the past and you are familiar now with the best way to move forward in these situations, maybe this time around you have given yourself extra points, you could say, for how you are dealing with the situation. But even if you think you know the best way to proceed, when you're actually going through the grind, experiencing the emotions as raw as they are, you're probably, even then, not going to be able to behave in a perfect way. So let's just try and remove the anxiety about how we acted during the breakup itself. Does it affect things long term? Well, it can influence things. We can't lie. If you go through a breakup in a very emotional, distressed, anger-filled way, it is not going to help you as much if you stayed calm and stable. But again, as I've already said, that's not necessarily likely to be the case. And even if you didn't go through the breakup in the best possible way, you can still turn things around. Now, in the immediate aftermath of a breakup, your emotions are very likely to feel that they're spiraling out of control. The pain, confusion, and loss can be disorientating, making it hard to focus on anything else. That's why it's crucial to work towards stabilizing your mindset ASAP. Now, this doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending that everything is fine. It's about finding balance and preventing your emotions from overwhelming you completely. Start by grounding yourself in the present. Engage in activities that bring you a sense of peace and normality, whether that's going for a walk, practicing mindfulness, or simply sticking to a daily routine. Reconnect with the things and people that bring you joy and comfort. Now, social support is incredibly important during this time, so don't hesitate to lean on friends and family, but just be wary of if they actually know your ex on a personal level, because if they do, you have to be careful that anything you say to friends or family who know your ex very well, well, unfortunately, it's likely to actually get back to your ex, whether or not they say they will, whether or not they even mean to cause a problem. The reality is that they probably will pass things on that you say to them. So be careful. Yes, it's important to talk. It's incredibly important to talk. But don't speak to people that are just going to be passing on your emotions directly to your ex. Because not only do you not necessarily want your ex knowing every single thing you're thinking, but the way you think is likely to change From hour to hour, let alone day to day and week to week, you're going through emotional turmoil. So you might not even agree with your own feelings and thoughts a few days down the line. You certainly don't want your ex being passed on a moment in time where you're not at your most stable, because it can have damaging effects on reconnecting. But by and large, it's very important to seek social support. Seek support from friends and family. Seek support from doctors or counsellors. Seek support from coaches like someone such as myself if you feel that talk therapy could help you. If you do and you're interested in speaking with myself, go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Speaking with people can help because not only can they provide a listening ear, but also a reminder that you are loved and valued. Stabilizing your mindset is about taking control of what you can, your thoughts, your actions, and your environment, and using that control to create a safe space for where you begin to heal. One of the most common reactions after a breakup is to obsess over the mistakes that you made during the relationship and the breakup. You might replay arguments in your mind, wishing you had said something different or handled the situation better. It's easy to fall into the trap of self-blame, thinking that only if you had done this or that, then things may have been different and the relationship may have survived. But this kind of thinking is not only unproductive, it's also unfair to yourself. We all make mistakes. We're all human beings. We are not perfect. Relationships are complex, and navigating them perfectly is impossible. So instead of harshly criticizing yourself, try to adopt a mindset of self-compassion. Understand that you did the best you could with the knowledge and emotional tools you had at the time, because beating yourself up only prolongs the pain and hinders your healing process, which ironically reduces the chance of one day getting your ex back. Instead, you need to acknowledge your imperfections as a part of your humanity. Forgiveness is key here, not just forgiving your ex, but also forgiving yourself and allowing yourself to move forward, because by doing so, you free yourself from a weight of guilt and open the door to growth and self-improvement. So while it's crucial not to dwell on the past, reflecting on your relationship can provide valuable insights that will help you grow. Just because you shouldn't beat yourself up every day, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take accountability. There will be instances where we do need to look in the mirror and we do need to say, yes, I do need to do that differently, I do need to do that better. So trying to find the balance of accountability, but also not beating yourself up every day for every single thing, is a difficult tightrope to walk sometimes, but it's something that you can learn to do and you can get better at. This reflection isn't about assigning blame or wallowing in regret. It's about learning and evolving. Take some time to ask yourself constructive questions. What were the recurring issues in the relationship? Were there patterns of behavior on either side that contributed to the breakup? And how did you communicate? Were there ways that communication could have been improved from you or your ex? Also consider your boundaries. Were they respected, and did you maintain them? Reflection like this can be enlightening, revealing areas where you might want to set stronger boundaries, communicate more effectively, or choose partners who align more closely with your values and needs. Remember, you might want your ex back right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean they are your best option. Always remember that right now you're a single person and you have every opportunity to find someone even better than your ex. Importantly, this exercise isn't about fixating on what went wrong, but rather about equipping yourself with the knowledge to create healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. Each relationship, no matter how it ends, is a learning experience that can guide you towards becoming a better partner and ultimately finding a relationship that truly supports your happiness and well-being. So now I want to let you know about an email that a dumper sent me and gave me permission to have read out, so that you can understand their mindset about how they believe that their dumpee's behavior at the time of a breakup affected their perception of them.
When I broke up with my ex, their reaction had a big impact on how I view them now. Before the breakup, I saw them as someone who was strong, understanding, and emotionally mature. But when I ended things, their behavior really changed how I saw them. Instead of trying to have a calm, understanding conversation, they became extremely emotional and defensive. It was clear they were focused on their own feelings, and they didn't seem to care about my perspective or the fact that the breakup might be best for both of us. It felt like they couldn't see the bigger picture, and that was disappointing. They started pleading with me to stay and trying to convince me to change my mind, which came across as desperate. That really made me lose some respect for them. I had hoped they would show more strength and be able to engage in a mature dialogue, but instead, they seemed unwilling to let go of something that clearly wasn't working anymore. Their reaction didn't change my decision, but it did change how I perceive them. Now, when I think about them, I see someone who wasn't as emotionally strong or self-aware as I once thought. It's unfortunate because I did care about them, but the way they handled the breakup revealed a side of them that I hadn't fully seen before, and it's definitely altered my perception of who they are.
I then sent a reply and asked the dumper, is there a possibility that post-breakup, their dumpee could showcase emotional strength and maturity?
Even after the breakup, there are ways they could demonstrate emotional strength and maturity, which might shift my perception of them positively, even without them reaching out. First, respecting my space and not attempting to contact me at all would show that they truly understand and accept my decision. This would demonstrate a level of maturity and self-control that I didn't see during the breakup. If I were to hear through mutual friends or see on social media that they are focusing on their own growth, like pursuing new hobbies, investing in personal goals, or engaging in self-care, it would be a sign that they're taking responsibility for their own well-being. This kind of positive behavior, without any direct communication, would reflect their emotional strength and ability to move forward independently. Lastly, if they continue to live their life with grace, not dwelling on the past, but instead embracing new opportunities, it would show that they have accepted the breakup with maturity. This would allow me to see them in a more positive light, knowing that they've grown from the experience without needing to seek validation or closure from me. These actions, without any direct contact, would demonstrate that they are capable of handling difficult situations with grace and maturity, which could certainly improve my perception of them over time.
Now remember when I said that building stronger foundations for a potential new relationship with your ex actually begins at the time of a breakup? Well, this is where everything comes together. As we've just spoke about, it's so important to try and develop a stable mindset as soon as possible post-breakup. It's certainly not easy, but it's necessary, because without a stable mindset, you will not be able to maintain my version of the no contact rule. Now, the no contact rule, for those of you who don't know, is something that lots of people suggest you implement if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back. However, there are many different versions of the no contact rule that you can find online, and I believe that my version will give you that best possible chance of success. So I suggest that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, ring the bell for notifications, and check out the playlist entitled The No Contact Rule. There you will be able to fully immerse yourself in my version of a rule and understand why I believe it will give you that best possible chance of success. And if you don't have a stable mindset, the chances of you being able to maintain my version of a no contact rule are very, very slim indeed, because you will need to master ultimate patience. And not only will ultimate patience be what you need, but an understanding that this still might not bring your ex back. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. But I truly believe in my methods and theories over the last 6 years that I've been doing research about what will give you that best possible chance of success. I don't want to suggest things to you which might work 1 or 2 times in 100, okay? You might get lucky. You might know someone who has got lucky. You may have been lucky in the past. I want to give you advice and suggestions which give you more than a 50% chance of achieving your goal. In some instances, more than 60, 70, 80% chance. Now, every situation is different, and I don't know your specifics when I speak in a generalized sense, but if you follow the advice that I give, you will certainly be increasing your chance of success. And that's all we can do. And my version of the no contact rule will give you that platform to try and get your ex back in an increased amount of instances within the averages. So this is why I promote it. Now you might be thinking, well, what is your version of a no contact rule? Well, if we're considering the perspective that you are right now as a dumpee, this would be, in most instances, to never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. Now there are a number of caveats to the rule, and I can't predict them unless we were to speak via my audio coaching service, because I don't know your specifics. And that is another important element of my version of a rule. It is something which is bespoke. Yes, we can say, by and large, generally speaking, as a dumpee, never contact your ex again unless they contact you first, but your specifics might mean that the bespoke nature of my version of a rule does have tweaks. Are you and your ex long distance? Are you currently close, but you will soon become long distance? Were you married and now divorced? Were you married and might be getting divorced? Do you have children together? Do you work together? Is there an age gap in your relationship? Is this a situation where someone was cheating? As you can see, there are many variants, and also ones that I didn't even have a chance to mention. They will always have tweaks to the rule, but if you want to try and play it as safe as possible in a general sense, what I would say is that you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first as a dumpee. Now, if you follow that advice, you will be giving yourself that best possibility, but again, I don't know your specifics, and I don't know what caveats to the rule, what tweaks, what bespoke elements I would actually suggest to you if I knew your actual scenario. So please just bear that in mind. But as you can tell from what I have said, there is no time limit to my version of a no contact rule. Other versions you may have heard online possibly suggest time limits, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just to give an inkling, an example of what you may have heard. Additionally, some people suggest complete radio silence, whereas I promote a version of no contact, that if you hear from your ex, you certainly reply, certainly most of the time. So as we can see, my version of a rule will take ultimate patience, and you won't be able to live through and beyond for days, weeks, months, or even years if you don't have ultimate patience, if you don't have a stable mindset, and therefore you can see the link. That's why you are building the foundations of trying to have a successful new relationship with your ex as soon as the breakup takes place, because learning these important skills not only allows you the best possible chance of maintaining my version of a no contact rule, but if and when you hear from your ex, you will be in a much better and stronger position to have a relationship which is calm, stable, and positive, moving things forward in a way which can be successful for both of you as teammates. If you don't have a stable mindset, if you are not showcasing the positive things that I promote, then if and when you hear from your ex again, if and when you take things slightly further forward, maybe you even get your ex back, sadly, things are likely to crumble once more. If you, for instance, have issues regarding trust, if you don't have a stable mindset, then you will always be in a position where you want to check your ex's phone, for instance. That isn't healthy. If you can't trust your relationship, you shouldn't be in it. So if you are with a partner, whether this is getting your ex back or someone new, and you feel you need to check their phone every single day to make sure they're not cheating on you, well, unfortunately, this relationship isn't working. If you don't trust them, you shouldn't be with them. Okay, that is something really, really important to get your head around. And therefore, again, this all links to having a stable mindset. It all links to building those foundations ASAP post-breakup. Things that you do 2 days after the breakup can be things which you can work upon, grow and improve so that if and when you get back together, your relationship lasts forevermore. It's so vital, it's so important, but it's not just about sitting at home, twiddling your fingers, looking around and clock watching during this time apart. Absolutely not. You need to be going through improvement. You need to be keeping yourself busy. You need to be living your life in a way where every single day you become a better version of yourself. Become a better person today than you were yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than you are currently today. Learn skills, become more knowledgeable, whether this is regarding hobbies, interests, qualifications. You can and should be improving. Your health and fitness need to be on point. There are no excuses. Your ex-dumper ended the relationship. They will not reconsider taking you back if you are not a better person than the person that they dumped. Now, even though we're giving them a lot of power in this regard by using the phrase take you back, it is something that you have a lot of say in as well. Now, you at this time probably do want your ex back, and therefore you do need your ex-dumper to see you as a dateable option. However, you do have a say in this. We're not giving them all the power. If and when they decide they do want to reconnect, you need to consider, are they actually the right person for me? Over the 6 years that I've been doing this job, I've seen so many dumpees outgrow their dumpers, and you could be one of them. If and when you hear from your ex again, you might decide, I actually believe I can find someone better. Because if you do the work, you could easily outgrow and outpace your ex. Dumpees generally work harder if and when they get to that stage of really wanting to improve their life. We as human beings are more likely to make positive change during times of pain. We are less likely to improve ourselves when we feel somewhat okay. When things are ticking along nicely, we are less likely to strive for improvement. This might be why you were dumped. Maybe you felt very relaxed in your relationship and you became complacent. This is very common. So now your ex-dumper is possibly feeling kind of okay, maybe fine, maybe great, and therefore less likely to be going through improvement. You, on the other hand, are going through the grind. You're feeling pain, and therefore you are more likely to make that positive change, become a version 2.0 of yourself, and therefore you might outpace the growth of your dumper and decide that you don't actually want them back. Now, what are you going to do during this time apart? Well, as I've suggested, you should be trying to go through self-improvement, improve your skill set, and that probably means joining classes, groups, or clubs in some regard to make these positive changes, improving your social circle, and also bringing people back into your life that maybe you've neglected during the relationship are also things that you can absolutely do. Keep yourself busy. This also involves mixing with people, friends, family, but also new people as well. If you even decide to go on a few dates, you might think this will put your ex off. Well, from my own research, dumpers will actually find their dumpee more appealing if they see they are dating. The reason for this is because there is proof of concept that you as a dumpee are a dateable individual. If you are sitting at home alone, there is no proof of concept that anybody actually wants you. But if you are out there in the world going on dates, although I can't guarantee for every single dumper, again, we have to look at the averages here, most dumpers that I've spoke with have told me that they would feel a level of jealousy and intrigue if they found out their dumpee was dating someone new. Will you fall into that category? I can't say for certain, but logistically, logically, and statistically speaking, the likelihood is yes. The likelihood is if your ex-dumper found out that you were dating, or certainly at least spending time with new people, they would believe you are a dateable individual once more, whereas when they dumped you, they sadly didn't see you in that light. So what have you got to lose? Make new connections, build new friendships. If you go on some dates, then that can be great. And who knows? You might even find someone that you deem better than your ex. I know you're probably listening thinking, I don't want to right now, but you never know. You know, the story of your life is always growing, improving, changing, and developing in a way that you can't predict. We never know when the story ends between you and your ex. We never know the path that your life story will take. So just go with the flow. You are a single person, and as long as you are keeping yourself busy, then that is the key to maintaining no contact, improving yourself to become a version 2.0, and becoming a dateable individual in your ex-dumper's mind. Now, if you like what you've heard so far, please help me out and give this a like. It really helps me to grow my channel, grow the positive energy I'm trying to present in my breakup community. Because if you give this a like, it showcases that you're enjoying what you're listening to, and therefore it will be pushed out to more people. And that's what we want to do. We want to help more people. So if you like what you're listening to, please give this a like, a share, subscribe if you haven't already, and please make sure you spread the word of this positivity of how to try and increase the chance of getting your ex back. Now, what is your ex-dumper doing during the time you are apart? This is one of the most common questions that I am asked. What is my dumper doing? What is my dumper thinking? How do they feel? Are they thinking about me at all? Well, the story of a dumper, of course, can't be predicted definitively, but there are certainly patterns. And this is what I always work on through the 6 years I've been doing this job, is looking for patterns. What is more likely to work? What is less likely to work? What is somebody more likely to be doing? And so on, and so on. And therefore I can tell you, generally speaking, in an average kind of sense, what your ex-dumper is likely doing. Now, at the time of a breakup, your ex-dumper will enter what I refer to as the single honeymoon period. They have come to the decision to end your relationship. Now, this probably wasn't as easy a decision as you may be fearing. You might be thinking, well, I've just been discarded. I've been dumped. They didn't care. They never loved me. Look, most dumpers truly loved their dumpee. A lot of dumpers will still love their dumpee to a certain degree even now, post-breakup. But when the breakup comes, the dumper is likely at a point where they are feeling somewhat relieved because a decision that they've been wondering about for possibly months, if not weeks, they have come to the decision, they've actioned for breakup. It was quite stressful, no doubt. They are very unlikely indeed to want to have seen you go through any pain. So once they've done it, once they've ripped the plaster off, ripped the band-aid off, this is where the dumper can almost breathe a sigh of relief, thinking, okay, I've done the hardest part now. Now I need to live the life I want to live. Now, a dumper only ends a relationship because they've lost romantic emotional attraction. And when it hits the necessary low point, that's when they action the breakup. They believe that their life going forward will be more fulfilling in a situation where you two are not together in a relationship. That's the reality. So therefore, after the breakup has taken place, your ex-dumper will enter what I refer to as the single honeymoon period. Now, this is a period of time where your ex-dumper will be living their life in a way that they felt they couldn't do within the relationship. Now, maybe this is something as simple as them spending more time with friends that either they didn't have time to before, or maybe you disliked, you didn't like them spending time with people, whatever it may be. They might just be spending time with friends. Now, it could be the other end of the spectrum, and this is something dumpees don't like to hear, but the dumper could be out dating. Now, the good news, dumpees, is that if your ex-dumper is dating, it's very unlikely to last. From my research, dumpers, or dumpees for that matter, who find new relationships within a year or so post-breakup, they are very unlikely to last the test of time. It's incredibly hard to find a long-term compatible partner. The odds on them going through a long-term compatible relationship with you and then instantly finding someone straight away who is also long-term compatible, that is not likely. And more likely is that if they do go on a few dates, it will end almost as soon as it began. We refer to this as a rebound relationship. But looking at both ends of the spectrum here, whether they're just spending time with friends or maybe they're actually out dating, probably middle of the line is they spend a good amount of quality time by themselves and perhaps see some friends, maybe at weekends or whatever. Maybe that is the pattern that they will live their life, certainly for the first few weeks or months. Now, what will they actually be doing? Well, as I said, they might be doing things they didn't feel they could within the relationship, maybe due to time constraints, maybe due to commitment issues, whatever it may be for them. But for instance, they may start going to things like parties or clubs or things that if you were to hear about, you would get really, really frightened to hear. Oh no, my dumper is changing. Look, they're going out every week now. They never used to do this. I've just seen the photo on social media. They look amazing. Now listen to yourselves. You've got to really concentrate on you and not your ex. If you are seeing things on social media which are bothering you, this is a really good time to stop following your ex on social media. I.e., probably the best suggestion I can give you is to stop notifications from informing you of what your ex is doing. If you can avoid blocking them, but still not actually viewing your things, that's probably the best possibility, because we don't want to remove avenues for your ex to possibly reach out to you. And also, if you're connected on social media, you can live your life to the full and showcase yourself, and hopefully they can see it. So unless your mental health is really suffering, I don't suggest you block your ex. But if you can turn off notifications, if you can avoid seeing what they're doing, then that is probably the best thing. Because your ex-badumper is probably posting online the best moment of their entire week, which it was only a fleeting moment. The rest of the time was probably quite mundane. But for that one photo out of maybe 30 that they took, they actually look quite good, quite happy, and therefore that can be something which scares you. Don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of propaganda via your ex posting on social media. So even if your ex is going out, if they're doing their thing, it's just because they're single right now. So are you. You can do that as well. Now, the single honeymoon period is a period of time which feels very exciting for dumpers. They feel that sense of freedom because they are a newly single person and it was on their terms. You can try and feel that as well, dumpees, but of course, unfortunately, it wasn't on your term. So unfortunately, you won't feel that excitement, certainly not at first, that the dumper feels. But this is where the tables can turn, because the single honeymoon period doesn't last forever. From my research, it lasts around 6 to 12 months, at which point everything which seemed exciting all of a sudden starts to feel a bit more mundane. What was once new is now starting to feel kind of old. And whoever your ex-badumper is spending time with, well, those people's lives are going to be continuing and going down their own paths. Maybe, for instance, your ex-badumper starts hanging around with a few people who've been single for a year. Okay, they've already been single for a year. What does that mean? Maybe 18 months, 2 years down the line of their own situation, so 6 to 12 months of spending time with your ex, they actually start to find new relationships. They're now at that point where they do find their own new connections. Those people stop going out. Those people stop spending time with your ex. Your ex-badumper, who originally was with this large group of people, now they're starting to feel a little bit more alone. Not only that, they can't actually find a new connection. It's not as easy as they thought. And this is where the dumper disillusion starts to come in to play. Your ex-badumper didn't plan on feeling unhappy. They planned on ending the relationship thinking it would give them a brighter future. And at first things felt really fresh and new, but they've realised it's actually very hard indeed to find a long-term compatible partner. Also, the things which they have been trying to do recently don't seem as exciting as they did 6-7 months ago when they freshly became single. It's just not the same anymore. So what happens? Well, the disillusion starts to come in your ex-badumper's mind. This is when they start to wonder about you, but only if you've been implementing my version of the no contact rule. If you've been chasing your ex ever since the breakup, they can't think about you because they know what you're doing. They know you're texting them. You know, somebody can only miss their dumpee if their dumpee is not in their orbit. That's really important to remember. You can only miss someone if they're not with you. If they're with you, then there's no reason to miss them because they're there. So if you keep texting your ex, and that doesn't mean every day or every week, even if you just text them once a month, they know what you're doing. They know you are their safety net. They have no fear because they know you're always there. If you implement my version of a no contact rule, then by the time they start to feel disillusion, by the time they start to feel sadness about their current situation, they will also be very confused as to what you're doing. They'll be wondering. They'll be thinking, okay, my dumpee hasn't chased me. I didn't want them to, but I kind of thought they would. And now I'm feeling lonely, and because they're not reaching out to me, I'm going to guess they're not lonely. What are they doing? Maybe they're happier without me. Maybe I've made a huge mistake. How on earth can this happen? And these types of confusion within the dumper's mindset is where they will hit the crossroads. And the crossroads is a magic moment for dumpees. And this is because your ex-badumper will either go left or they will go right. Do they decide to continue as a single person and not looking back in their rearview mirror? Or alternatively, do they look the other way and actually decide to reach out to you, the dumpee, because they start to miss you? And that's the key. If your ex-dumper starts to miss you at the time where they are feeling at a low ebb during their own life, this is when they'll reach out to you. Now you might think as a dumpee, well, I don't want my dumper to contact me just because they're feeling bored. Please don't think of it like that. Just recognize that they needed to get to a point in their life where they really valued what you brought to the table. This is that moment. But if you behave in a way where you have been chasing your ex-dumper, in whatever way that translates to you and them, then this is where they're going to be thinking, actually, my dumpee is quite annoying, and I'm really glad that I didn't continue the relationship. I'm really glad I ended things. And even though I'm not feeling great, I'm not looking back. However, if you implement my version of a no contact rule, if you improve yourself every single day, if you showcase yourself the best way you can to the world, not directed at your ex-dumper, but just living your life in a way where if anything ever got back to them, it is positive and not by you directly, then this is when they will start to miss you. And if and when they do, that is when your ex-dumper will reach out to you. Now here is the moment, dumpees, that you've been waiting for, the moment where your ex-dumper has decided to reach out to you. Now as mentioned before, sadly, not all dumpees will receive this contact. But if you do fall into this category, it is unlikely to be from your dumper saying, hey, I miss you so much, let's get back together. Things are very rarely as straightforward and Disney-esque as that. Much more likely is you will receive something known as the indirect direct approach. It's indirect, but it's not actually telling you exactly what they're thinking, which is that they miss you, but it's direct because it's directly to you. This means it doesn't count if they post a random comment on your social media post. Okay, if they do that, then yes, sure, respond if you feel necessary. If it's not really a question, maybe give it a reaction or whatnot. But no, we're talking about a direct message to you, whether that is a text message on some type of messaging app, whether that is a phone call, a direct message via a call, whether this is knocking on your door, whether this is something that they are speaking to you clearly one-on-one. That's what we're looking for. Now, although I've mentioned all of those possibilities, the most common possibility is them sending some type of text message. Now, could they write you a letter, for instance? Well, again, it is possible. But generally speaking, the most common way a dumper will reach out to a dumpee is via some type of text contact. It could be a text message, it could be on a messaging app, it could be an email, something such as that. Now, if you receive contact from your dumper, I do suggest you reply. But how long? How long should you wait before you respond? Well, I would suggest that you need to make sure that you reply the same day, but make sure that you don't reply too quickly. When I say reply the same day, if you receive the contact at 7 p.m. at night, you certainly don't have to respond until the following day. Now, use your common sense in this respect. But if you receive contact at 11 a.m., then I think there is no reason why you shouldn't be responding that very same day. Just make sure you carry on doing what you're doing. If you're busy, then you shouldn't be dropping everything to contact them. When you are no longer busy, then you can reply. But if you leave it too long, if you leave it days and days and days, it's clear that you're playing a game. Because everybody has opportunity. Everybody has a chance to send a message back during that period of time. This isn't a situation 20, 30 years ago where you may have been sent a text, but for whatever reason, it didn't actually come through to you for 3 days. Okay, those days are over. They know, your ex-dumper knows you've received their contact. And if you don't reply for a long time, they know you're playing a game. There's no point in doing it. So reply the same day, but make sure you're not responding too soon, too quickly. Now, what is too soon? What is too quickly? Well, I would suggest that if you receive a text message and then you decide to respond within the next 10 minutes, that would be too soon. 20 minutes, probably too soon as well. I think it's reasonable to, at the very quickest point, to only respond at least half an hour later. That, I think, is a good rule of thumb for you to remember. Now, what could you receive? What type of message might your expert dumper send to you? Well, this is where you're going to be able to listen to a bit of back and forth here of how theoretically this could go. And please listen out to the strategy that I suggest, because we really want to get this connection moving in the right direction. So if your expert dumper sends you a message saying this:
Hi, I just found out your favorite movie is going to be on TV next week. Did you know?
Then I suggest you reply by saying, "Hi, thanks for your message. No, I didn't realise my favourite movie was going to be on next week. Thanks for letting me know. How have you been?" Now, as you can tell from that interaction, first of all, the message you received was very random indeed. Like I said, the indirect direct approach, they are likely to open with a message which is somewhat random. Something that you're thinking, why is my expert dumper sending me this? They ended a relationship 9 months ago. Okay, just allow that to go over your head. Don't question them on it. Just answer what they're asking, but then make sure you actually ask a question back. If you don't, then the conversation might end there and then. If you don't respond by asking a question at the end, it sounds like you're making a statement. The conversation could end. We need to grow this conversation. We need to make sure that your expert dumper then continues to speak with you, and potentially they might then respond by saying this:
I'm good, thanks. What have you been up to? Have you had a busy summer?
Now, as you can see, they've decided to reply. They've decided to grow this conversation a little more. And they've asked a very simplistic question back to you. So you could reply by saying in your own words, "Yeah, I've been keeping myself busy. I'm doing A, B, and C." Or maybe just A, if you've only got something really valuable to add to this conversation. Don't try and overplay things. But if you have been improving yourself and doing 2 or 3 great new things, this is where you can really add them into the conversation. If you've just been doing the one, then just add the one. This is where you can grow that conversation by showcasing your self-improvement. But what did we do? We forgot to add a question. Remember, we always need to ask a question. So for instance, you could be asking them something such as, "How did it go with your work promotion?" Now, you adding that onto the end of your message is asking about something which perhaps you knew was going to be in the mix a few months ago. Maybe you knew they was up for work promotion, and therefore you haven't spoke to them since, but you've remembered and you're asking the question. It's showing that you remember things about them. It's showing that you care, and you're growing that conversation by asking the question. This is what we're talking about here. Growing the conversation, answering what they ask, and asking a question yourself. Now, this is where we need the conversation to go back and forth 4 or 5, 6 times. If and when it does, that is when you can be in a wonderful position to ask in your own words whether or not they would like to see you again. But you're not going to do it that way. No, you're going to do it in a very clever way. What you're going to do instead, you're going to say, "Hey, it's been great chatting. I'm a bit busy right now, so I've got to go. But I was just wondering, would you like to meet up next week?" Now, you can fill in the blanks about whether that would fit your scenario. And if none of this quite fits, my audio coaching service is something where me and you can really speak about the logistics. But the point is that if you and your expert dumper have had a back and forth where they ask a question, you ask a question, back and forth 4, 5, 6 times, you are at a possibility of trying to find out if they want to see you. Because remember, they've reached out to you. They wouldn't reach out to you for no reason. Nobody reaches out for no reason. They clearly are missing you on some degree. So you are asking if they would like to meet up sometime next week, for instance. Now, if they respond and say, "You know what, I don't think that's a good idea," you can say, "Hey, no worries. That's fine. Like I said, I'm a bit busy, so I've got to go now. Bye for now." Or whatever you would like to say in your own words. Then you're leaving the conversation. That's why you said, "I'm a bit busy." It gives you that get out of jail free card. If they say no, they don't want to meet, you don't have to hang around. You can say, "Okay, no worries. You're staying calm and stable, but I've got to go now. Take care." Now, if instead they say, "Yes, I'd love to meet," that is when you need to set a time, day, and location. Don't let this opportunity go. Try and set it there and then. Now, if they agree to that, you need to remember that you've said you're busy and you need to go, because you can't then continue the conversation. Remember that. So if they agree to the time, day, and location, you need to say, "Great, I look forward to seeing you," and then leave the conversation, and you'll speak to them when you see them again. Now, if you get to the point of where you and your ex-bedumper have arranged to meet, you are so close to getting your ex back, but of course, we can't say for certain that things will get over the line. Maybe you will meet and they won't be feeling it. Maybe you will meet and you won't be feeling it. Maybe you will meet and it will become clear that you are both looking for different things. But there is a great opportunity that if you and your ex do meet, this is something which can start to reconnect you and them and transition into a brand new relationship, which is where we began our podcast today, getting to that new relationship and making sure it grows in a direction which is built on stronger foundations. Now, if and when you do meet, you need to be showcasing yourself in a positive way. Remember, be happy, carefree, and fun. They are the 3 words to remember. Remember to make sure that you look your best, that you smell your best, that you are your best. Those things will give you every opportunity for your ex-bedumper to want to reconnect. We want you to make the decision this time. We don't want them to make the decision. We want them to want to see you again. That is the only aim of meeting. The only aim of meeting your ex-bedumper is for them to want to see you again. Then you have the choice. You can either say yes or you can say no. If they decide they don't want to see you again, then you don't have that option. So you need to make sure that you play this as best as you can. Try and remove all pressure. Don't say, well, I need to kiss them. Don't say, well, I need to do this, that, or the other. No, the only thing that needs to come of meeting your ex is for them to want to see you again. So you need to showcase yourself as a better person than they remember. A better person in every single way. More attractive, more skillful, more knowledgeable, more intelligent, more emotionally in control, better looking, better personal hygiene, better fashion sense. If you come out of this meeting with them wanting to see you again, then that is what we want. We want you to make the choice if you want to see them again after this first meeting. I call it a meeting because if we call it a date, we add too much pressure. Don't call it a date unless they do. And certainly don't set dating labels unless they do. Don't start calling them your girlfriend or your boyfriend unless they make it clear that that is what they want to do. Yes, there will be times where you need to read the room. Yes, there will be times where you perhaps need to take the lead or you need to showcase what you actually want, feel, and think. But certainly on this very first meeting, all you need to do is make them to want to see you again. So remove the pressure of anything else. Be your best self, and I honestly believe you stand a wonderful chance of getting your ex back.